Give everybody a moment to get on here. We're in the group, so um, I didn't put it on my timeline just because I don't know. I just wanted it to be a little bit more intimate, and it's a great way to basically kick off the free challenge that I have going this week. So, if you
Yeah.
don't know me, my name is Tamira Hamilton. I've been blogging since 2013, 2014. I have been able to self monetize pretty much my entire life since then. And that's what I do is I teach other people. I'm all about the business of you. It used to be the business of beauty, but we have expanded beyond beauty and we are about the business basically of you, the business of your life. And yesterday on Messenger, my good friend Christopher Cole and I were chatting as we do from time to time. I think it's safe to say, and I'm not being conceited when I say this, that Chris is a fan, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought he would be self professed. Otherwise, I would never say that and risk him saying, hell no, I ain't a fan girl. But yeah, so Chris is a fan. And likewise, I am also a fan of Chris. And so we were chatting. We've known each other, Chris, for how long now?
Gosh, it's been at least 10 years, I would
Yeah,
say.
I would say at least a good 10
Yeah.
years. And we've actually only ever met in person a few times, but when we do, it's like we've known each other our
Yep.
entire lives. So, Chris, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody like who you are, what you're about, your story.
Sure. Well, as you can see, I have a couple of musical instruments in the background. I've been a musician most of my life. Um, and when I graduated with my master's degree in music theory, there weren't a whole lot of jobs available to use it. So I started doing technical stuff, computers, networking, that kind of thing. And I've gradually been doing that for 30 years now.
Okay.
Um, and have, built my own business, built other people's businesses alongside of them. Um, really just been involved in the nitty gritty of being somebody's tech support. So that's a lot of what we do is we do tech support for people who don't have a full-time tech support person. So
Okay.
smaller companies, solo people, just basically covering all their bases and answering all their questions. um, so 2020 was a little rough on us. I think it was a little rough on everybody, but especially for tech stuff, once we got people settled into their homes, they were pretty good and didn't demand as much attention as they did in the past. So I started looking at lots of other options and possibilities for building another income alongside, because I knew that eventually we were going to come back and it was going to be an even bigger thing, but it would be nice to have the second and third incomes going. So it's been a rough road getting that going in terms of, building different streams. I have a small music stream that's pretty regular, but it's not very much money. So I'm looking to add a second thing that will sort of bump up the cash flow.
And I think that's the case for a lot of us, a lot of Americans, even the people who've been online for years and, you know, projecting certain lifestyles and that. I think at the end of the day, we've always heard it takes like seven income streams, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I
Right.
think, with recent things that are happening in the economy and in the world, you got people looking for that third, fourth, fifth, and even sixth stream of income. And there's only 24 hours in a day. There's only 7 days in a week, 365. And we don't know what day our number is going to be called, right?
Right.
So I say all that to say that it's not always a viable option to be getting a second or third job. I look back when my kids were younger and I did what everybody told me to do. I got the college education, I got the good job, and thought I would be living happily ever after. And this soul sucking job, by the way, is I'm working 40 plus hours a week, well over like 45 most of my career, because that's what they kind of expect for you in my state when you are salaried, that you work more than 40 hours a week, right? And
Right.
so there was really not enough time between taking care of my kids. Hey, there was not enough time between taking care of my kids, working 40 plus hours a week, and my commute, which was daily about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Where was I going to find time to work another job? And I didn't want to give up weekends with my kids because I already was pretty much only seeing them to have dinner and go to bed Monday through Friday. And so I think that means people are going to be looking for a lot of different forms of income, a lot of different ways to make income. And one of the things that I heard someone say years ago, and I think is really important for us all to understand, is a lot of times people want to say they're working a full-time job like I was, like you are.
Mhm.
They want to go and they want to start something brand new that they don't know anything about, that there's this learning curve and it's going to take a lot of time before them to actually turn it and make it profitable. And so they get discouraged and they quit. And so I have found by complementing what I already know, my existing skill set, and leveraging that and taking that to the space of online marketing and being able to generate full-time income with that, then some of my other streams of income online, I get to have more fun with, right? So
Right.
you knew me back when I was in the world of beauty and customized color cosmetics, but I brought my marketing background to that. And because of my marketing background and what people saw me able to do with that business, they started to come to me. And that's how I got into coaching. And that's how I got into courses. So I might have came online to do beauty, but what happened was people pulled on me for what I was already naturally good at, what I'd gone to school for, and what I knew. And that validated to me when I heard this about, sometimes it's often best and most advisable to take what you are, especially when you're in a situation and you need to make money and you need to make it fast. Your best bet is going to be to start with what you already know better than anyone else, right? And for me, that happened to be marketing and sales. It could have been spreadsheets, right? There was a time in my career that I was known as the Excel girl.
Yeah.
Right? So think about who you are and what people think of when they think of you. And I definitely, Chris, when it comes to you, I definitely think of IT. I think of music. So what do you think about that? Right? Because I know that's one of the things we've been talking about is where to start, how to start generating that cash flow now rather than later, right? So would you,
Indeed.
yeah, and we started chatting about that a little bit yesterday and saying, well, what about IT? If you wanted to make money right away, the IT tech support would be where you would start. Okay. And then that's when we said, you know what? I think we should go ahead and we should have this chat in front of everybody so thank you for being the I don't know what's the word I want to use, but being willing to be here and be vulnerable and go through this with me in front of everybody. I appreciate that so much. So
Well, I mean, if there's going to be somebody I want to be in the hot seat in front of, it's probably you. So
I told y'all he was a fan. I told you he's a fan. Hello, Delshawn. I saw your comment pop up. Thank you for being here. She says, Chris, she says, thank you for taking the time to share. Okay. So, all right. So you agree, you're cool with starting with IT support. So,
yeah.
when you look at what you do with IT support, where is there a gap that you can fill? And, and not only that, when you think about that gap, I want you to first think about who it is that you serve. Who would be the ideal client and what would be the gap?
Right. So currently, who I serve are small businesses that run Apple products. And I try to do everything for them or as much as I can for them.
Okay, so when it comes to tech support for small businesses who run Apple products, what are those products and what does that tech support? I mean, you don't have to go. I mean, I know you probably could talk for hours on what all that entails, but really quickly, what does that entail?
I'll try to keep it to a minimum. So basically, we act as the first line of defense for them. So if they're having problems printing, if they're having trouble with their email, if they want to add a new person and they need to buy a new computer for that person.
Okay.
And it is everything within the Apple ecosystem. So desktops, laptops, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches, you name it, we do it.
Okay, so I'm glad I asked this question because this is definitely you're helping them with their internal operations. This is not their customer facing.
Right.
They, in essence, are the customer. They, their team, their staff
Exactly.
are the customer. Okay, so now I want you to also think about, because my brain kind of pings all over, but we'll always come back. Yeah. What, in that respect, can you put yourself in front of to get a commission off of the sale? The reason I'm asking this is because you may have the opportunity to have more than one stream of income from this one stream of income.
Right. So I have a partnership with a company called Sandler that resells services. So everything from what's called a co-location, where you might keep a server so you don't have to have an office to keep it there.
Okay.
Which in this day and age is kind of a big deal. To reselling phone services, internet services, that kind of stuff. So lots of service selling.
Okay. And I know, I think I probably know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it for everyone else anyway, because you mentioned Apple products. And I know there's someone watching this who's thinking, of course, he can get in front of the Apple products and sell the Apple products. I know those tend to have a very low margin. So I'm going to ask, is there any opportunity to earn any sort of commission markup whatsoever on those
Not
products?
Really. The way you would do it would be to carry an inventory, which requires a fair amount of money to do and doesn't allow you the opportunity to make it custom for the people, because Apple has turned in recent years towards they do all the customization. So if you want to add a bigger hard drive, you want to add more memory, those things have to be configured when you buy it. So
okay. So now let's go back
to get any commission off of that.
Okay. So if we go back to your ideal client, I know you said small businesses. Are there any niches that stand out? Are there any particular types of business or business owner that you find that there's a pain point that you and your services can solve?
We have worked a lot in the last 30 years with what I call creative companies. So people who are doing design work, people who are doing video or audio type work. Basically anybody who's a creator. In the traditional sense.
And about how many employees on average do they have? You know, think about that. What's their average yearly sales revenue?
Usually the companies are anywhere between 3 to 10 people. Average revenue is probably between $500,000 and $1 million, depending on the company. A lot of them are working as vendors for bigger advertising companies. So, like doing food photography or design work or whatever.
And with that said, there's only 24 hours in a day, 365 days a year. You have a capacity, right?
Right.
So there's only so many clients that you can take. Do you have a strategy for outsourcing, for example, or a way to duplicate yourself?
Currently, I have relationships with other folks who are like me, where there's 1 or 2 or 3 people. And those people tend to have different skill sets than I do. So if I need someone who does Cisco networking, I have a guy I can call. If I
Okay.
need someone who does windows, past what I can normally do, I have a couple of guys I can call.
Okay.
So
So, how much time are you willing to commit to this additional over and beyond what you have?
yeah, that's a good question. Um, I guess, depending on how much money is coming in, the more I would spend more time on it if more money was coming in. I would say probably 10 to 15 hours a week currently.
Okay. Now, there's multiple ways you can go, right? So you can do this where you have to invest more time and continue trading time for dollars, or you can create digital products. Now, your ideal client wouldn't necessarily be the same. You might have to modify it a little bit, but you could also create digital products. You could create workshops, you can create, there's a myriad of things.
Right.
So you're kind of like at a fork in the road. Which direction
Yeah.
do you want to go? Do you want to do more of the hands-on service stuff, or do you want to go the route of creating more digital products, more teaching the how-to tutorials, helping people set up their own type of business, because right now everybody wants to make money because everybody needs more
Right.
money because it takes at least what, $800 more a year to live the exact same as you did last year. Most people weren't even satisfied with the way that
Yep.
they were living last year. So I would gather that they need more than $800 a
Yeah.
month to make up the difference.
Right. Yeah. And I would say, um, I would like to do more of the how to workshop kind of
Okay.
products.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm just not a fan of trading more time for money. I'm just not.
Well, I mean, I already do it. So like adding
Exactly.
more to it and having more stuff on the outside, like, my mother's aging.
Yeah,
I'm aging. Like there's a certain point where I can't trade 60 or 80 hours every week because I just don't want to.
exactly. And not only that, quality of life, right? What difference does it make if you're making more money if you don't have time to enjoy
Exactly.
it? What is the money doing for you? Like, is it buying you more time? Is it buying you more health? Is it buying you more relaxation? And that, for me, anyway, if the answer is no to that, I'm just not really interested. So I agree with you there, brother. So check this out. So if you want to go the route of digital products, you said workshops. What about ebooks and PDFs
Sure.
and downloads? Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
from that standpoint, again, it's about standing in the gap, right?
Hmm.
Where is the gap? And usually, you can go one of two routes. I feel like I keep saying that. You can
Hmm.
either go the route of you're going to go after more of a mass market, or you're going to charge top dollar from a smaller amount of people. This, which is really what I genuinely tend to do, because to me, it's just as easy to make $10 as it is to make 500, as it is to make 1,000. It takes the same, and
Right.
sometimes even less effort to make the bigger amounts of money, to be honest with you. So you can, that's a decision you'll have to make. Do you want to go after the market by saying, this is something you can get started with today, and you don't have to have any formal education, you don't have to have any, special skills or anything? Or do you want to go after people who are already doing the same thing that you do, but you have something to offer them that they may not have thought about, that there is a gap and a need that is not being filled for that particular market?
Yeah, I really think the latter. I mean, there's a lot of small to medium IT companies that do the same thing I do, but they're all Windows. They have no Mac specialists. I was just talking with a friend of mine who works at AbbVie, the big pharmaceutical company north of
Yeah.
here, and he's a senior Mac specialist there, and he's like, we can't find the right people. He's been trying to get me to come work for them for about 5 years now, because he's like, I need somebody who's smart like you, who understands that not everything is a Mac and how to integrate the two. And I'm like, yeah, but I make more money out here.
So, with that said, do you think there's enough of a market though for you to be able to work with?
Maybe not locally, but certainly nationally.
Okay, and that's great because the internet bridges that gap, right? The
Yeah,
internet, I like the vast majority of people I've done business with over the last 10 years. I would never have met them, would never have done business with them had it not been for the internets, for the interwebs. So, I love to hear that. I'm a big fan of that. Okay. So, with that said, then you have to go back to your ideal client and really nail down who your ideal client is, what their pain point is, be able to demonstrate empathy and communicate to them in a way that they feel seen and heard and
yeah,
acknowledged, and then fill in the gap, right? And so
right,
we talked yesterday about what you referred to as splash pages. A lot of people watching me will know it as a landing page, right? So,
yeah,
if you're not familiar with internet marketing, one of the things you want to do is you want to grow an audience. And we're going to talk about that in a bit. That's like the most important thing, is to grow an audience, right? And
right,
often the way you grow that audience is by growing your email list at the same time. And then also using things like short form video, like Reels and TikToks, and video on Pinterest and Shorts on YouTube,
hmm,
to get in front of more people. And it's like a bus depot. Lots of people are passing in and out, but every now and then somebody stops and they have a seat, right? And so that's what you want to do. You want to start filling those seats in that bus depot of people watching you play violin with your cup on the ground. And when you think about that analogy, the person playing violin, them playing violin or using those painting barrel bucket things and drumming on them, that's actually their
hmm,
lead magnet. That's how they're attracting people to them, is by giving them a demo of their skill. And then people leave change, dollars, 20s, whatever they feel benefactory in their heart, in the bucket, right? And
yeah,
so we're not saying that we're out here begging or, whatever that word is they use in cities like Chicago, but
hmm,
it is very analogous, because instead of leaving change or dollars or 20s or whatever, they're leaving their email for you to be able to contact them again, right? I
right,
love shopping in boutiques, especially for shoes. I don't wear heels nearly like I used to, but I used to could run in heels, and I would go into these boutiques, and every time right next to the cash register was a notebook for you to put your email in for them to be able to email you. Now, most of these boutiques never emailed. Very few ever actually used it, but they had it there for whatever reason. And the purpose of that is for them to be able to email you about their sales, their specials, their VIP only events. Like, you know, I always have fashioned what I do in my Facebook groups after experiences I had at private events for Victoria's Secret, at BB, and stores like that, and these boutiques as well, right?
yeah,
Because they sometimes have fashion shows. And so you want to stay in the know. You want to be in the know about the fashion trends for the season, for the upcoming season. And so I always thought it was a travesty that most of them did not actually fill that out. Now, a lot of them, when you sign up to get your receipt text message to you, that's another way that they're building their email list, because it's not only people that are interested in come in and window shop that you want to fill this form out. You also want to be building that list of your customers. And so we've got to figure out what's that violin for you, for them to give you that email address. Okay. And that's where the landing page comes in, because that's like the virtual notebook that's sitting next
mhm,
to the register for them to fill out. And you're capturing that information. And then from there, hopefully using some sort of autoresponder to nurture that email for quite some time. Basically, I always say until they die, buy, or unsubscribe.
that's the truth.
So, with
That is
that being
the truth.
said, Mr. Christopher, by the way, you're Canadian?
No,
No? Okay.
no. I was born and raised in Michigan, though, so
Okay. Okay.
close.
Okay. I've seen you make posts about Canada, and I was like, I didn't know he was Canadian.
I have a whole bunch of Canadian friends, so
Okay.
I'm always
Oh,
giving them a shout out.
okay. Cool. I still love you either way. I was just asking. I was just curious. So
if I go to Toronto, then I start to talk like a Canadian. So
I practically talk like one anyway because I'm from Wisconsin. So, you know, the further north you go in Wisconsin, the more you hear it in Minnesota too. So, okay, so now we've got to figure out what that violin is for you, right? And so, you know, I like for that to be something that is going to be, you want it to be something that is going to get people quick wins, right? Because this is really part of a entire chain of events. Because when someone meets you online, they visit your website, you've got less than a 2% chance. And I would say now you have less than a 0.5% chance that they are going to transact with you on the first visit. It can take many, many visits for people to actually buy from you. And that's why we want to have that cup on the ground as you're playing violin to get the email address so we can stay in front of them. Because in today's world, out of sight, out of mind. And how we do that is by continuing to send them valuable content and information that is going to help them save time, make money, you know, have better relationships, have better sex, whatever, right? Those are the top things, right? That are so, that are by sales. So, so we want to figure out something that is going to get them quick wins and really appreciate you and be looking to take some sort of next step with you. And, you know, instead of building out a full funnel right now, I think the big thing is to start building that email list and taking people from getting on that email list and keep hitting them with content to make them want to have a conversation with you. And from there, you can offer things like individual coaching, you can offer courses, it can develop, it doesn't have to be developed right now, but developing the list. The list is an asset. I don't know why, especially if you have buyers on your list, people who've bought from you before. First of all, there's a reason why restaurants put that first dollar on the wall, because it's proof of concept. It's proof that if I made that dollar, I can make 10. I can make 100. I can make 1,000. I can make 10,000. I can make 100,000. I can make 1,000,000. And I firmly believe that, because there's nothing like making that first dollar as proof of concept, right? And so that's also plays into, like I said, helping people get those big wins. So you really want to think about, where is there a gap? You want to stand in that gap and fill it for people, and then they be willing to give you their email address. Or text message is also, I do a lot with text message these days, SMS, to give you that information in order to be able to stay in contact and top of mind with them. So what are some of those pain points? What are some of those things that you can help people solve?
I think the biggest pain point that I find is that technology remains a mystery to a lot of people.
Okay.
So that's a maybe the biggest pain point for them, is that they just don't know how to get started.
Okay. And so, and again, this is people who already do what you do and don't realize the value that they hold in the market, and that they could be out there making money with this.
Yeah, I think there's, in any sort of field, like, you know what you know, and then there's the rest of the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people get more clients based on what they've already done. So you've proven to someone that you can serve, if we're going to take the restaurant metaphor, you can serve spaghetti, but now can you also make pizza?
Right.
And can you also add fresh salads? And could you also add a bar? Like, those are all ways to expand within that field and still, you know, do something completely outside of your experience. And I think that's where a lot of technology companies fail, is that they're like, we do this one thing and we do it really, really well. And that's not how the world works. Nobody is just doing the one thing. They're using 5 or 10 different products, none of which talk to each other.
Okay. Okay. But now we're really honing in on, though, remember, the people who do what you do and monetizing, you know, working specifically with that niche.
Yeah, that's what I mean though, is that like the companies like me, they're like, well, we specialize in X.
Gotcha.
And that's great. And what happens if you have a customer who comes in and goes, well, we have X, but we also have Y and Z? And you have to say, well, I don't do anything with Y and Z. They're probably not going to continue working with you.
Okay. So you want to serve pretty much 1 to 2 man shops who are third party vendors to small businesses with $500,000 to $1 million in sales, 3 to 10 employees. And I'm still not clear on what problem you're going to solve for them. I get what you're saying, but
Mhm.
what is the problem for them? What's the pain
Yeah,
point that keeps them up at
the problem for my customer would be that they don't know how to expand themselves into different areas.
night? Okay.
You can learn the information, but you may not be able to apply it very well.
Okay. So I'm picturing a headline, a tagline of something like how to scale and expand your business to generate X amount of dollars in the next 6 months.
Yep.
Something along those lines. Okay. So how familiar are you with chat GPT? I've heard people say chat GPT wrong so many times. It
Yeah.
is amazing to me.
I'm only vaguely familiar with it. I've played around with it a couple of times, but I haven't really
Okay.
done much in it.
Well, it is very easy, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
language model. So what you would do is you would go into chat GPT and you would basically say, you are a, and you're going to describe what you are. You are a tech support professional who services, who's done it for this many years, looking to monetize by creating a free download for other people who do what you do. Please outline ideas, generate ideas for this book.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go into Chat GPT right now. I'm going to do that. You are a tech support professional of 30 years.
Yes.
I put 230 of 30 years, who services small businesses with 3 to 10 employees and generate 500K to 1 million in revenue annually. You help them with new user signups, ordering new equipment. What else am I missing here, Chris?
Integrating various
Integrations.
services
Okay,
like
etc.
payroll, email, servers, etc.
Okay. Now you are looking to monetize yourself by attracting other support professionals who also work on a contracted basis with the goal of helping them to expand into other services and generate more revenue in less time. Please generate lead magnet ideas. The first thing I could be Chat GPT. The first thing they came up with was write an in-depth book or guide on scaling your small business tech support services, include practical tips, strategies, and best practices for expanding services, optimizing workflows, and generating more revenue. Share case studies of successful transitions. Checklist or workbook. Offer a downloadable checklist or workbook that helps teach support professionals identify helps tech support professionals identify opportunities for expanding their services, provide step-by-step guidance for integrating new services and diversifying their income streams, webinar or video series, template pack, exclusive resource, case studies, email newsletter, blog series, mini course, return on investment calculator, membership, community access. So don't worry, Chris, I'm going to send all of this to you.
I was like, I don't know if I can type that fast.
Yeah, I'm going to send you the link to the exact chat. Okay. And so then from there, you would pick one of those and then you would ask Chat GPT to elaborate to get more specific. So for example, if you chose the first one, the PDF, you could tell it to go ahead and outline that PDF. And then you go to each point and you have it outline that. And then you can go to Fiverr. You can go to, what's the other one? Upwork. Yeah, and have someone create the PDF for you and even set up the landing page and all of that. And then you can start running traffic to it. And you can go back to good old Chat GPT and say, okay, now I have this lead magnet. I want to create a video series where I am going live for 20 minutes or 10 minutes a day for 5 days or for 30 days. Give me ideas. And then you can do those lives and make sure in those lives at the beginning, in the middle, and the end, not the exact beginning, but, in the first few minutes, first 3 to 5 minutes, you offer this free download and you offer it again in the middle and you offer it again at the end. And you just keep running that play. And I say you give it 60 to 90 days and you'll get you a handful of clients.
Cool.
Literally what I've done. And I was doing it before Chat GPT. I was just using Google. I was using my brain, right? I was going to Amazon and reading book reviews and seeing what the gap was. What are people,
Right.
what are the best-selling books and what gaps are people saying are missing in their reviews of the book in the comments, and then start creating content around that. Facebook groups are another great place. I always say they're great focus groups. They're a great opportunity to watch your ideal clients in the wild, in their natural habitat, as I like to say in my, what's his name, Steve Irwin voice, right? In their natural habitat, and observe them and what are their questions. And I think one of my biggest strengths is being able to understand not only what people are doing, but why they are doing it. And the people who are going to win in the next 3 to 5 years, really the next 12 to 24 months, are going to be those who understand the differences in consumer buying behavior that are well underway right now. And that's why a lot of people are lost and they have their head in the sand and they don't know what to do, because they're not understanding that it's the consumer buying behavior in response to inflationary times and all these other things that are going on that they really need to be in tune with and be able to communicate and innovate around. So does that help?
It does, yeah. Yeah, I hadn't even really considered any of this. I was just like, I have all this knowledge and I don't know what really to do with it. So
Yeah. And so a lot of times it's just journaling, it's just jotting things down, looking at people who are doing what it is that you already, who are already doing what it is that you want to do. Doesn't mean they have to be doing it in the same space, right? When I started doing the internet marketing stuff with beauty, the way that I was doing it, no one else no one else was doing it that way. But I saw what other people were doing with Facebook groups and how they were using them as part of their funnel. And I implemented that for beauty, and it was wildly successful for me. And so I think you have that opportunity here, because I'm a big fan of, just because the market doesn't exist today doesn't mean that I can't create it. And how I create it is through my content, my valuable educational content, and just continue reaching the hearts and minds of people, and their hearts and minds will open up, and then you will have a market that you can serve, and it will be a pretty much dedicated audience and market for a period of time, because no one else is open to serving it. You literally created the market. So I wish you a lot of good luck. I know you'll be able to do it, and I'll shoot that over to you. And just, to recap, the action steps is to, get in this chat GPT thread and have it start nailing it down for you, and know that your first lead magnet probably isn't going to be wildly successful. You're going to have to keep hitting it a few times, right? And sometimes you do. I think it was in my first 3 that my stuff just went gangbusters, right? And so you never know, but you won't know until you get started. You won't know until you get that lead magnet out there. And that's why I don't believe in really high production quality in the beginning. You want to put a minimally viable product out there to test the waters, and keep testing, keep modifying, keep adjusting, keep controlling, and just keep moving, keep dribbling the ball. Keep dribbling the ball. All right.
Yeah.
Well, this was fun. I hope you got value out of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can hear all this stuff, but to have somebody actually, direct you in the right way,
Yeah.
it's very valuable. So,
well, good. And I invite you to our pin challenge if you have not signed up. That's a great way when you're running lead magnets to get traffic to your lead magnet and get, another place to distribute your content. One of the things we talk about in my Pinterest course is viewing social media as a distribution channel instead of a sales channel, because you need to build the audience before you can make the sales. Okay. And then don't forget to continue networking. And it's all about conversations. The lead magnets and all that are great, but the more conversations, the better. And that's why I'm not saying go out and build a funnel that has upsells and downsells and all of that. We don't do that in the beginning. We want that lead magnet, and we want conversations. And that is how you really begin to create and cultivate that market. I'm excited for you. Can you tell?
Yeah, me too. Yes, I can. I can. I'm excited and scared. So
well, good. If you weren't scared, I'd be worried. If you weren't scared, I would definitely be worried. So if you're watching this and you have not signed up yet, I don't even know how to put my own little banner here, but sign up at tamirahamilton.com/pin challenge. We welcome you in the Pinterest challenge, and you can see how more of all this plays in the world of Pinterest, which is a great source for your traffic to your lead magnet, to your website, to your offers, because Pinterest is a search engine. And believe me, Chris, believe me when I say your ideal client is on Pinterest. There are people who work in all industries, both genders, on Pinterest. My brother really blew my mind a few weeks ago when I found out he is on Pinterest and he loves it. And he's not looking at this false fashion. He is looking for hunting. He is looking for venison recipes. He's looking for all the things that he's into, and he found them in the place that even I would have least suspected that he finds them, and that is on Pinterest. So talking about these things, and the women that are on there, like my ideal market, for example, they are, I mean, it only makes sense when I think about it, but I remember being so shocked when I found this out. My ideal client, my audience insights on Pinterest show me that my client is not only, my audience member is not only interested in beauty and skincare and wellness, they're interested in making money. It only makes sense because that's what I'm interested in, right? Because I am the brand, I am the content, I am the algorithm, and so are you. So who knows? You might even find you a wife on there. You never know.
Never know.
You never know. Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Chris, for joining us. And I will see everyone in the Pinterest challenge, the Pinterest traffic challenge, starting tomorrow.